Hello viewers, welcome to Silent Conversations with Miss Nkatha. I am your host, Nkatha Mwenda, a recovered alcoholic, a nutritionist by profession, founder, Sober Living Youth Summit, chairperson, Graceful Youth Recovery Center. This show highlights whispered conversations and transforms them into credible discussions. And today, I am so honored to be joined by a young man who has an amazing, uplifting story, and he is an advisor to many. He is a professional in the field of psychology. He also is an addictions expert, and I'm so glad that Kennedy Ochieng, you've been able to join us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nkatha.
Yeah, tell us who you are. You know, it's best when you tell us. Yeah?
The intro Nyumesha Piga is quite amazing.
So they call you counseling psychologist. What is that? Just tell us a little about yourself, who you are, and then we can get into what you do.
Like you've mentioned, my name is Kennedy Ochieng. I'm a counseling psychologist. A psychologist, or the field of counseling psychology, is a well-trained personnel that deals with helping people to cope with day-to-day stresses, day-to-day mental health challenges, and to see how to bring resources that can actually help these people to actually materialize and improve the quality of life.
Wow. So you take care of the mind.
Yeah, I take care of the mind, the body, the soul, the spirit.
Wow.
Yes.
So when you talk about mental health, when you talk about, like now you work at rehabilitation, a treatment center, just tell us what that entails.
Yeah, currently I'm working with an
But a counseling psychologist is not limited to working in an addiction. Okay. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, right now at Sarazekiel Treatment Centre, we focus mostly with people who are suffering from addiction. So addiction it's a diverse, field. So there are people who are struggling with alcoholism, there are people who are struggling with marijuana, there are people who are struggling with, tobacco, there are people who are struggling with hard drugs, opioids, heroin, cocaine, all those kind of things.
Gambling also?
Gambling is a part, that's behavioral, now addiction. There are people who have sex addiction, gambling addiction, eating disorders. So we deal with all such kind of people.
Wow.
Helping them, to reclaim their lives back.
Okay. Is this a profession that you always desired, to... When you were a child, did you always say, when I grow up, I want to walk with people, take them through supporting them
actually
psychologically? No. How was your life? Because like I said earlier, I look at you and the story you have shared, and I can't put two together because at one point you lived in the street.
Yeah. Just
give us a backstory of your life. Then we can be able to highlight so many things that come up, and the man of today and the boy child is faced with those challenges, is faced with adversity. You keep telling me, I've never smoked, I've never drank, I've never used any drug. How are you able to overcome all that, yet you have been in such challenging situations from when you were a child? If you're okay with that, can you share with us that part of your life?
Yeah, in my formative ages, or when I was young, around 6 years, that is when actually my mom passed.
May her soul rest.
Before that, I can say life was generally okay. Life was generally good. We had relatives, it was just, it was more like an ideal family kind of setting. So my mom started getting sick often.
Okay.
So one day we just get the news that actually she's gone. And that is where actually the tables turned.
Where is your father? So now he's a widower.
So right now, we went for the burial, we finished everything, and then we came back. So I was raised in a family of 3, where it was me, my brother, and my sister. So immediately my mom passed, I think, because we were very young at that time. So we will not reckon what was really happening, even to my dad. But my dad changed. So I think it was because of the depression or something, or the grief and loss that today
How did
we
he
know
change?
about it. He just became a totally different person. He started drinking more. So my dad sometimes will just be engaged in so much drinking that we would actually rarely have time to see each other. So he would leave probably maybe in the morning by 6. He has gone to work. He will come back probably maybe at 3. Already we are asleep. So we never got even a chance to be able to see each other. And that is where now things began, taking a toll, because it's somehow like he forgot.
Allow me to ask, you were 6 years then?
Yes.
And what about the age of your siblings?
My older brother was around 10.
Okay.
And then my younger sister was around 4.
Was then your older brother then the one taking care of you when dad was not there? Or was there a relative who came into the picture?
No.
So it was just the children?
It was just the 3 of us.
And dad away, dealing with the loss and grief the
Yes.
way he knew?
The way now he was handling
Okay,
it.
okay.
So I had actually to step up. I'm the one actually who had to, step up and take the
Six-year-old you.
responsibility. A 6-year-old me.
Six-year-old you.
On a serious note.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was I was the one now who actually had to try to find ways on how we could actually survive.
Where is this? In Nairobi?
Yeah, we were staying in a place in Ongatarongai.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes it would actually force me to sell certain things so that actually we can get small money to just eat and do, living. So I remember sometimes I could take these bottles of soda. By then they were going the 1 liter was going for 20 shillings. So we'll go and actually look for those bottles, sell them. The little money we get, I will bring it home. Actually, we would just buy something, and the 3 of us, we are able to eat. Sometimes it will force me to actually sell scrap metals. At that time, we used to call them chembo. So I will go picking up, metals and everything. You go weigh, you sell them, you get your small money, come back, buy food, and you eat. So that is how life actually was. So it reached a point whereby now my older brother began, I think, retaliating in one way or another because of how life actually had become. So when he began to retaliate, is actually he went to my grandmother's side. So he was taken to go and live with my grandmother.
Retaliation was defiant behavior?
Yeah, defiant behavior.
Okay.
Like he'll not go to school.
Yes.
He started hanging out with the wrong company of people. Sometimes just at home, just rebellion.
What do you think was keeping you strong? Because this 10-year-old, you probably now is 11, 12, you're 6 years, but you're going out. Because I can already picture in the streets of major cities world over, seeing those little boys who come to your window, whether you're driving or just loitering the streets but begging. I'm picturing that was one of you, or going to the Mjengo site or a construction site. What was it with you that you were so concerned and you went out of your way to ensure everything was okay at home? And then the next question is, did your dad notice your efforts, noticing his children are out there fending for the home, something that he should have been doing?
One of the things that kept me pushing, with all honesty, I can say it was the hand of God.
Amen.
Because I had a compassion for my sister and my brother that I can't explain. I just couldn't. At that time, I couldn't just see myself, we are here probably without food. So I had just had I would think outside the box, if I put it that way. Because I cannot say at that age, sometimes I even knew myself fully. It was just this urge, it was this drive that kept me I have to survive. So I can say it was a survival instinct that was actually working in me at that particular time.
Wow. So this went on for how long? Now your brother has gone to live with grandma from your mom's side. Now it is the 2 of you, you and your sister and your father.
So actually my also sister was actually taken also.
Oh.
And she went. So at some point I remained alone.
Okay.
So not It didn't take even a long time. And then my sister, we get the message that actually she has also gone. She has passed. So now we were left now, the two of us.
She passed at what age?
I think she didn't even last a year.
What happened?
We were just told, she got sick. And
Who was she living with? A relative as well?
My grandma.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's now a double
So that's
tragedy.
now a double tragedy
Yeah.
we just had. So it was very devastating for me at that particular time. So my brother actually came back now to stay with me. And the defiance and the retaliation continued. So at this time, I don't think that my dad actually used to notice. I want to believe that he was so much absorbed in the loss and grief that he didn't even realize that we were actually suffering.
Did he ever leave money? Did he ever sit and
Rarely.
make time for you as children?
Rarely. Like, time was not there.
Did he have a job?
Yeah, he had a job.
Oh, so he
you
would
just
work
leave,
and then now
go to work,
and then socialize
then
with
just
others.
disappear, like after work, probably maybe at 6, 7, and then just come back home late.
Were you in school?
Yeah, at that time I was now in school.
So after school is when you would do all these things to ensure.
No, during the school. What I will do is I had when my mom passed, we were forced to drop out of a private school, and then we joined now a public school.
Yes.
So the public school was more relaxed in a way. So what I will do is I will go to school in the morning by 8. Around 10 during break time, I would actually disappear from school. I will go to the streets, hustle, make small money, come back to school around lunchtime.
And this is the classrooms that had 90 plus students.
Exactly. Wow. So sometimes even the teacher realizing that so-and-so is not in school would actually be hard. And then you see in the morning, probably maybe somebody saw me at school. So I would go hustle and then come back. So when I come back, I would wait for lunch. So what used to happen is I will never take my lunch. I will go take my lunch. I will never eat it. I will pack it so that when I'm coming back home, that is what we will use together with what I had actually gotten to feed myself and my brother. So life went like that. To a certain point whereby now my brother became so defiant that actually my dad said, I cannot stay with you. So he was taken back again to Shags to stay with my grandmother. So I remained alone in that kind of state. And that is where now things began to actually become more worse. Why? Because my father remarried. So
how many years after?
That was around 4 years after. So my dad remarried. So the lady that came with a child already. So it was like now they were the priority.
It happens a lot in such.
It just happens, like living with stepmothers and that kind of thing. So now that is where hell actually broke loose.
You thought you had suffered before. Now you are in for another level. They say out of the
from a
frying pan
now
into
to
now the fire.
And with all honesty, it was devastating.
Yeah.
Because here I am, my mother is gone, my sister is gone, my brother has been taken away from me, and then a new person has been introduced, and my father never saw the pain and the suffering, even up to date, unfortunately. Doesn't know the kind of torture, emotionally, psychologically, physically, that actually we had to endure without him realizing. Because this lady came, and when my dad was around, because when she came, I want to believe at least my dad now started healing, because for him he's found somebody else.
But his children were never a priority.
We were never a priority. So when we were around with my father, and when my father was around, the lady would act so nice, as if she's caring, as if anatujali and all that kind of thing. But when my dad would leave, it was hell. The lady would actually cook nice meal.
Is she alive?
I don't even know.
Oh, because they separated? Or
they separated.
After some years?
Yeah, after some time, I think it was 2-3 years.
So the lady would, sorry.
Yeah, so the lady will actually, pamper the child very nicely, doing everything for him. And for me, I will actually go without food. So my dad will leave money for her, but he didn't even know. So he'll prepare meals for the child and herself, but for us and for me, I'll just remain hungry. And I will go and ask for food, and it will be beating after beating. So I will go and maybe ask, like the lunch has been prepared. So innocently, I will come and they have served, and then, I will just take a plate and start eating. And then that is where war will break. So I'll be beaten, and then insults and everything. And sometimes I will even be insulted with my late mom, something that used to really pain me. So now that she knows what she has done, by the time my dad would come home, more lies would, be told, like this boy has been behaving this way. So my dad would call me. I will not even have a chance to explain myself to him. So it would be another beating.
Are this what we describe as adverse childhood experiences that end up interfering with a child's life?
Yeah.
Because that is traumatic.
It was
How is a
traumatic.
small young boy like you coping? Already the older brother is unable to cope, therefore he's doing other things. And so for you, you still held on.
So for me, I was just there, and I began also to transform gradually.
Okay.
Because initially I will not understand why my bigger brother was retaliating. But as time went by, I developed this sense and urge also to retaliate. And actually I became very rebellious. Because now I felt like I have to defend myself.
How old were you now? A teenager?
No, at that time I was around 12 years. Yeah, actually I was starting now my early teenage life.
So how would you, what was rebellion?
So at that time, what sometimes I will do is when the lady would attempt to beat me, I will actually fight back. You see that? When sometimes I would be left with a young boy, because sometimes they will leave me with them, I would actually vent and displace my anger on that young boy.
Yeah.
So all the insults, the pain, everything I've gone through,
Back
I will
to
be
him.
given money to, cook. I will actually cook. And the same way they used to leave me hungry, the young boy will just see me eating everything.
We always say, children don't do what you say. They do what you do. So you are doing what the mother
was doing to
was
me.
doing to you.
Yeah.
Oh
so
my.
I would actually retaliate. So
Yeah.
we developed hatred with my, now I will call him my stepbrother. And it reached to a point whereby I will not even listen to anything my dad will tell me. So when now they realized that this was happening, they started tightening the rope. So there was no money, I was not given any money, I was not given any food. So this actually now forced me to get into a gang in the street. So I went, at that young age, joined a gang. So what we will do sometimes, we will actually rob people in a broad daylight.
You?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and it reached to a point whereby sometimes even at home, I will just come. If my dad leaves money anyhow,
You
I'll
go
just
with
take
it.
the money,
And what would you do with the money?
disappear. So for me, I will just take the money, use it for food.
Yeah.
Me, I just loved food since I was young.
Yeah.
So I will not buy drugs. I will not do anything stupid with the money. I'll just take the money. And I realized I had good financial discipline even at that young age.
You started saving.
Because I was like, okay, if I use this money, tomorrow I don't know where I will get the other money.
Yeah.
So I will use it little by little so that by the time maybe it is getting depleted,
Yeah.
I have found a system to do what? To replenish.
To replenish.
So my dad, to some point, it became so bad because now he could not leave money, something called money, in the house. If the lady would come with maybe, like the chama thing or with her friends and everything, they leave the handbags there, I will just time.
Serious.
When they are not alert, just go take whatever I need and disappear. So my dad will realize that maybe something is missing.
Yeah.
So again now, the beating.
But you didn't care.
So I didn't care. I was like, if you want to kill me, you just kill me. But I will not die. It is not hunger that will kill me. Let something else kill me. That's something I had just said. So it reached a point whereby sometimes at home it will be so bad that actually I was forced to sleep outside. because now we'll come back home and I'm told, like you're not welcomed here, disappear. You're now a man. So just go. So I will leave. Go maybe, find shelter in the streets and just sleep.
How long did you do that for?
It was something that was on and off, like almost for a year. It was just on, off, on, off, on, off. And in the meantime, when all this is happening, I never missed school. That's the funny thing. And school didn't know whatever I was going through. But I never missed school. And I was one of the performers at school. So all this would be happening, but at the end of the day, even if I slept outside,
you would still show up.
So what used to happen sometimes is I would wear clothes, like even 3 or 4 clothes on me. So those days we would wear like the shorts and the shirt. So sometimes I would wear home clothes inside and then the school uniform on the outside. So when I leave at school, I interchange. So the school uniform goes in, the home clothes comes out. So that was life. Sometimes I will get to a point whereby, let's say I've not stayed at home maybe for even like 2 days. So where we used to stay, there was a river nearby. So I will just go, wash my clothes in the river, put them until they dry. Once they dry, I put them on, go to school. So even my teachers never realized or never noticed that actually I was having problems.
Wow. And what did you experience in the street? Were you ever assaulted, or you were tough and you were part of a gang, so there was protection? How did you survive? Did you go through any traumatic experiences to add on to the already trauma that you're displaced, you are unloved? People don't care about you.
At some point, I experienced beating from a mob justice.
They found you, you stole.
Yeah, this time now, like I had gone for 3 days without food. And I was like, I can no longer contain the hunger pangs. So I went to a hotel, asked for food. They denied me food. And then I told them, okay, then give me water then. Walinifukuza, because, the way like I was even dressed. These street children, not all of them are welcomed. So I sat there and I said to myself, I need something that I can go and sell. So I went to, it was an electronic shop. I went there. We were with another friend of mine. And then,
friend in crime.
Yeah, a friend in crime. So we went there. So this guy, like what we used to do, like we could go as if we want to purchase something. So one would ask a lot of questions and, put the person, not to be alert or anything. And then now we will
sneak out
something. So when I was sneaking out something, there was a customer behind me who was seeing everything. And the guy just said, "Huyu ni mwizi." At that particular moment, the beatings we received, the guy, actually, I can say it was God that actually saved me at that particular moment. Because as they started beating us, a police Land Cruiser was actually passing.
Those are the ones who saved the day.
So when they saw us beating, they just said, no. And so they took us, put us in a Land Cruiser, take us to the police station, Ongatarongai police station. And then they asked, like, how old are you guys? And we were like, I was 12. And they said, "Mbona mnafanya hizi vitu?" I don't even know like what happened. They just let us go. They just said, "Tokeni hapa, go back home."
Yeah.
Murudi nyumbani. But street life was not easy. Because sometimes you don't, there will be rain. And there is nowhere proper you can actually, shield yourself from the rain. Sometimes you'll just go like that and, people just use you.
Did you ever go to the authorities, apart from this encounter with the police? Did you ever go to the chief's place? Did you ever look for, because when you're speaking, I'm just thinking about child welfare services. Where are they? Nyumba Kumi. Today there is Nyumba Kumi where when someone notices something amiss with a neighbor or the neighborhood, they're able to report, or they have some place they can go and seek help on your behalf. Because children suffering like yourself, it's disheartening. And even worse, because your father, just like he was not available when your mom and his late wife passed, he was also not available in this new arrangement with a new wife and new family. So where did you go to university? Did you go to high school? How did that look like?
So actually, like, you remember I had mentioned that I was a good performer.
Yes.
That continued to a point whereby I finished school.
On scholarship or your dad provided?
Like, no, on at that time, the primary schools were free.
Oh, yes.
You know, like that is when Kibaki had enrolled the system whereby now there was free primary education.
True.
So I passed my exams, but now, unfortunately, there was no funds for me to be able to join the high school. So I remember I tarmacked. At some point, even my dad now joined me in tarmacking because I have passed. But the school which I was called, I will not be able to afford the fee. So I was looking now for well-wishers, scholarships, you know.
So your father now joined you going knocking
yes,
doors?
now in tarmacking.
Because he was proud of his young son who has qualified by merit, because he must have snapped out of it for a moment, because
for a moment he snapped out of it.
You still performed well.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I remember we walked to a point whereby like every door I will knock was actually closed. So the only thing he told me was I have to repeat classes, and I said no, I cannot repeat classes.
Yeah.
I have done my part, and actually now this time also some form of enmity had also been created between me and my brother. Because I was like, now my brother is enjoying life in Shags, me, I'm the one suffering here. So I was like, no, also let me also go back to Shags. I'd rather go and stay at my grandma's place. At least I will have some form of freedom or something. So I went to my grandmother's place, and then my grandmother was like, you cannot stay here. You have to go back to school. And I was like, I can't. My brother has had his chances with school. He's always messing up. But, you know, my brother was like, he was being paid for. But for me, nobody was paying for me. So he was always a priority. Whenever he would ask something, he was like, first of all, wacha tushughulikie your brother. I was always coming later. It was
so
like
now you're saying enough is enough. I want to be catered
Exactly.
for. Okay.
So my grandmother is the one who spoke to me and told me, you know what, you just go back. I know something good will happen. So with a heavy heart, I left, came back. And I remember when I was coming back, I was seriously sick. I came back, I slept on the floor, the bus, because I was so sick to a point where I could not even sit down. So I came back, went to the hospital. After like 2 days in hospital, I went straight back to school. So I went back to my class, and I told the head teacher, I'm not switching classes.
So you'll repeat? You've agreed to repeat?
I have agreed to repeat.
But the same class
The same
as
class.
previous?
So it did not even go like 2 days. Now, that is, for me, I strongly believe in miracles.
Yes.
Personally, because of the encounters. Today, I can say that was an encounter.
Amen.
I remember I went back home and I had a dream. And in this dream, I saw myself in school uniform. And then the field, you know, like where buses, the school buses actually park, I saw myself with books and everything. So it was a very strange dream. I woke up, you know, like, you're in daughter too, went back to school. At 8, a guy comes. And the head teacher calls me into his office. And I'm like, I want you to meet somebody. And the guy comes and tells me, I am so-and-so. And I have heard that actually you are a good student and you do not have an opportunity. So I want to educate you. And I was like shocked. So I was confused. So the head teacher is like, you know, cueing me like, this is the part where you celebrate.
Yes.
And I'm not celebrating because I'm like, okay, is this a drama? Is this a video? What is this?
Yeah.
Nobody has been there for me. I have been knocking on doors.
Yes.
No door actually seemed to be open. And then this guy just appears from nowhere and says he wants to educate me. So I was like, pana. Maybe I want Jamanda kunto a sacrifice. I said no. And the guy was like, no. You come to where the school is and everything. So I come back in the evening and I tell my dad, like, there's somebody who wants to pay me for my school and everything. And he's like, oh, great. So what do we need? I just only might need to go to school. I don't even know where the school is.
Yeah.
So can you just take me to where the school is? So for once he takes me in the morning. And in Nkatha, when I got to that school, everything I saw in the dream from the gate
Wow.
was actually real.
Wow.
And I was like,
Amazing.
this is serious.
Yes.
I went to school, sat down with the owner of the school, the director of the school.
Yeah.
And the moment she saw me, she said, "You are the person that I've been looking for." Just like that. And she said, "You will be here, you will study, whatever, we kazi yako ni kusoma.
Yes.
Any other thing in life, we sikusumbue, we soma."
So
and
you went through your 4 years.
I went
there.
through my 4 years.
Wow.
And at that time, God works in miracles. I was put in charge of the school. Like I just became the school head boy. Mono. I was told, when utakuwa the school head boy. And teachers and students feared me.
Wow.
Because the discipline and the strictness that I had.
Yes.
So I finished school very well, went to campus. And so it was that you had asked a question, like the thing I'm doing today, was it what I wanted to do when I was still young? The calling was birthed.
Yes.
Now when I was in high school. When I was very young, I wanted to be an engineer, an aeronautical engineer.
Wow.
But even my father at some point pushed me to do engineering. But this thing came now as a call when I was in high school. Because a lot of people would actually come to me who actually had deep issues.
Like it was a boys'
similar.
only school?
No, it was a mixed school.
Okay.
So both boys and girls would come to me, and I will realize that as you are talking with them, some of them actually had very deep issues to do with the family, the same way I went through my own issues. And as we were talking, something strange was happening to them, because there was always a transformation that was happening to these people. So one day, it was very clear. In our school, we had a place called, we used to call a shrine, where we would go and just have prayers. So one day I went there, and I remember I was praying. I didn't even know how to pray, but I just said, let me do this thing that out on afanyanga. So when I was there, I fell into a trance. Like it was lunch hour. Fell into a trance, and I slept. And it was like a voice came to me and told me that, I want to use you to transform the lives of people. I want to use you to bring healing to nations.
Wow.
That was the word that came.
Wow.
And you are going to be my voice. That whoever you speak to will change.
And you're speaking to nations. I know we're on YouTube and people are watching from all over the world, and already what you are doing, because I've also seen you do a lot of media interviews in different stations, and you're speaking that hope. You're speaking life. And it's amazing that even in your adulthood, you've been able to accomplish that which was a vision then, that voice. I want us to talk just a little on those, because I'm looking at today, the boy child, we're calling them boy child. There's a lot of attention on the girl child. Another boy child is saying, oh, there's challenges. Then we're talking about men and how they handle rejection, abandonment is different. We've spoken about narcissistic behavior. And from your journey, it would be easy if you didn't recover from the traumas, or if you didn't deal with your past, that you would bleed onto others. I don't know, you understand that language. So today we are looking at what is happening. There's a lot of abuse, domestic violence. Most of the time it is the men. Not to mean women are not violent against the other gender, but then there's a lot of gender-based violence. There's a lot of abandonment. Men impregnating, men getting homes but abandoning them. That must be stemming from somewhere. All these perverse issues, sodomy, rape, aggression from men. I believe science has linked it also to that kind of upbringing.
Childhood traumas, yes.
What is your take on what is happening now? And what can we do about it? And especially for the man, especially for the boys. Most boys are being brought up in single parent homes by a woman, their mother. Obviously, the mother is a natural, is their mother. but she's not a man to be able to address her as such. So what can you say about that? What is your take on it?
Maybe the first thing I can say is now in the field of psychology,
Yeah.
a lot of people who have gone through trauma, a lot, not all, but most of people that have been traumatized,
Yes.
especially childhood traumas, a lot of them are actually susceptible to different forms of perversion. It is very hard to find somebody who has gone through trauma that doesn't have a perversion or a perverse issue. How are these things linked? You see, everything that we go through is changed into what we call an energy. What we call the traumas, what we call pain, what we call all those kind of things. It is channeled and it becomes an energy. Now, the funny thing with energy is that you cannot destroy energy. You can only convert energy from one form to another. And a lot of men have this negative energy that is stemming from now the abuse, the neglect, the abandonment, because we will be very honest. Men, we go through life. The moment you are born as a male, it's like already it is 1-0 if it's a game. You're already halfway defeated, with all honesty,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of pressure that has been
Yes.
mounted.
Societal norms
Pressure,
and cultural.
norms, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and even right now you can see that a lot of resources, a lot of attention is so much focused on the girl child empowerment. But rarely do you find people talking about the empowerment of the boy child. I can tell you for sure, even when I was in streets a little bit, people would actually treat the girl child in the streets well compared to us men.
True.
As a man, they see you in the streets, the first thing that comes in their mind is, this is a robber, this is a thief. You're already labeled, you're already branded. So all this negative energy, men have not come to the place whereby they know how to convert it to help. And
Yes.
so most of the time, and also the biological nature of men, is that whenever we have energy, it is transformed sexually.
Oh.
That is where you realize that men, most of the time, even the aggression, they just become, it is more like a sexual kind of energy. Because it is sex has a lot of energy. Sex emits a lot of energy.
So if they have any underlying issue, they will tend, the outlet will be sexual.
Most of it.
So they'll have multiple partners.
Exactly.
Or they will be consumed in a sexual kind of.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that is why even sometimes when you see men who are quote unquote promiscuous, sometimes we judge so fast.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not about the promiscuity.
It's the energy needs to go somewhere.
This energy, the tension.
Ish. And that time someone is saying
see
it
that?
is love. Man and a kucha.
Exactly. And that is why you see these men now,
Are you
the
serious?
sense of perversion now comes in.
Okay.
You see that? And that is why you see even a lot of men are sex addicts. A lot of men. So you will either this person will be a player, like have multiple, partners.
Yes.
If not that, this man will realize they will engage in things like now masturbation, pornography, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
If not that, you have had people who sometimes, men have been caught in the act of bestiality,
Oh, yeah.
such kind of thing. And now, even this issue now of same-sex, marriage and everything.
Yes.
These things have an underlying. In as much as there is a spiritual side of it, there is a psychological also side of it. It's an underlying thing. That is why I'm telling
Or
you.
even gayism, you can
Yes.
explain it in terms of energy.
It can be explained in terms of energy. I had a friend who got themselves into gayism. It was not because of choice. This is a guy who went through a lot in the hands of women, especially the mom. The guy was abused a lot. So you come and you realize that this guy finds solace in the hands of another man, to a point whereby this person becomes emotionally connected to these people. Some of these people that you see even are called gays and everything, it is the emotional solace they found. They can be judged so harshly, but when not unless you are in their shoe, sometimes you'll not understand these kind of things. And then now remember, psychologically this person already is disturbed. So there is also the formation, what we call the emotional and psychological formation, that is formed. Now what we call maladaptive emotions or maladaptive psychological issues. So this person now gets to a point whereby they become connected emotionally with another man, to a point whereby now it leads to
relations
and the sexuality.
And nothing will convince him, even if the law says it's illegal, to disconnect, because that's where the energy has been channeled.
This is a person that is emotionally and psychologically connected. Wow. There are some who have gone through even, they have been sodomized. A lot of people who have gone through even prison, because you realize that even men, most of the time, because when men go through trauma, like I've said, they end up into a lot of risky behaviors. Men we just love risky behaviors, unless Mungu akuguze. So you realize that these people sometimes go through prison, and in that prison they are sodomized. These people, you would expect that such kind of a trauma would actually make them hate the act, but in psychology it's different. Instead of making them hate the act, it makes them actually now want to bleed on others, do the same thing to other people. All those kind of perversions now, the narcissism now. And that's why I've told you, like with men, a lot of men, anytime people hurt, men react differently from women. When women most of the time go through abuse, sometimes in terms of sexuality, they become inactive because it's not a priority.
Yes.
The needs of a woman, when we are talking about females, the need of a woman, the first need in the order of priority is love and affection. Sex is a third priority, you know. But for us men, the priority, number one need of a man is sex. And that is the way, and like I said, sex is one of the channels that actually can release a lot of energy.
Okay. Wow, I'm already seeing another show because our time is running. So with all this information and seeing that gap, then what is the way forward? What is the solution? What should we do now that the boy child is under siege? Men are known not to open up, unlike women who meet strangers. I offload. By the time I go home, I'm sorted. But a man will bottle things up because society expects him, or because he feels if he expressed himself, then he's not man enough. What advice do you give for young men, for boys who are going through that identity crisis or have this energy? What can you advise so that there's positive outcomes? You see, for you went through challenges and you even walked the dangerous path for some time. Then you got back into the good. What can you advise men to do?
One of the things, the word I can put out there to all men is that, number one,
including your father.
Yes. The first thing I want to tell men, every person, and I will put a distinction. There are men who are male, but there are men what it means to become a man. You cannot heal. You cannot be productive. You don't have value if you're broken and wounded. That's number one. A lot of men, we are hurting, and we are getting ourselves into families, institutions, things, yet we are broken. You see that? We are wounded soldiers.
And so you bring up wounded
all
people.
That wound, you'll realize that we are bleeding because we are living in a patriarchal society. And it has been this way since time immemorial.
Yes.
So men, we are the pillars. We are the foundations of family. We are the foundations. We are not to be seen. We are foundations. Meaning, if any foundation is faulty, the society at large will be faulty. Families will be faulty. So, as men, we have to actually rebuild our foundation.
Wow.
This nonsense of, that I will be deemed weak. This nonsense of as men tutakufa kisabuni, we will die in silence and in silence.
But that's what you're telling each other in
No,
men's conference.
Yeah, but I want to urge men that we have to come out of that narrative.
True.
You see, because we are losing a lot of men.
Studies show that more men than women die from suicide.
Yes.
And it's because of that.
It is because of that.
Yeah.
So we have to get out of this. And I will call it nonsense. Because for me, it's nonsensical. We have to understand that we are part and parcel of the community. And not unless we come together. If the society, we have to change that narrative. This issue of the society saying that as a man, if you air out your emotions, then you are deemed weak. Let them deem us weak. But let us be weak people in their eyes, but emotionally and psychologically stronger. Rather than be strong in their eyes, but psychologically and emotionally we are weak.
And then you're bringing up.
And then you're bringing
people.
that cycle.
Yeah.
You see that? So we have to come out of that shell. It is not what the society sees us.
Yeah.
You see that? But if we can be able to talk, if we can be able in a safe space, in a safe platform, share, if we can be able to heal from these traumas and everything. I know for starters it will be hard because of how the society, how will deem us. But in the long run, the narrative will come to change.
Wow. And in conclusion, because I know alcohol and addictions and all those things are just but the many way men cope. And it's been glorified for so long. But I believe with safe spaces or when people come together to speak, they can be able to make better choices.
Yes.
They can be able to transform to better men. Because today's man, I'm not saying every man, today's man is defined by the women, the alcohol, and the money.
Yes.
And the ideal man, the way you've explained, is someone who has dealt with his past or knows himself and is a responsible person who is compassionate and caring so that he does not harm those around him.
Exactly.
Wow. Where can people find you? Just tell us where. But you're coming back.
Yes, definitely.
I want us to talk more on energy. This energy story, we need to talk about some specifics, but just let the people know where they can find you. Yeah.
My office is based in Utawala at Sarazekiel Treatment Centre. In Utawala, a place called behind Fahari Gardens Hotel. Our numbers is 0726 179 379. 0726 179 379. Our social media handles are Sarazekiel Treatment Centre, both in Instagram and in Facebook.
Wow.
So if you can call that, you'll find me.
Thank you so much. Viewers, Kennedy Ochieng is also a part of Graceful Youth Recovery Centre. He's an expert who, together with other experts and lived experience, we are able to go into the community, into schools, and we're able to do the Sober Living Youth Summits. And he's been very instrumental as an expert in his field to support the communities that we are working in. As we conclude, there are very many programs for men and for boys. It concerns me that there are some programs for men that are being referenced as boy child. What is your take on that?
Yeah, one of the things we have to change if we have to bring up responsible men is how we address them.
Yes.
This issue of addressing people and saying the empowerment of boy child. You see, psychologically, if you drum something for a long period of time,
yes,
it gets into the mindset.
True.
So this issue of saying boy child, we don't want to raise boys. We want to raise men. So even we have to rebrand those kind of things. We need to stop addressing these people as boys and start inculcating and cultivating them knowing that actually I am a man and what it means to be a man. So instead of saying things like boy child, let's start talking of things like men empowerment. Yes. Let that thing sink in. Let a lot of people know. Because even right now, you find a 50-year-old person thinking he's a boy because it's a boy child. No.
Yeah,
So let's talk about men empowerment.
Yeah, it's important. And like you're saying, when you're in an environment and that is the message that has been spoken over time, you become who you speak. You become who you become who you are referenced as.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that is very important. Viewers, until next time, I'm your host, Miss Nkatha Mwenda of Silent Conversations with Miss Nkatha. Stay blessed.